It's a big day for Britain's Royal Navy. The launch of the Astute. It's the biggest and most powerful nuclear-powered attack sub ever built in the UK.
Nuclear submarines are about the most complex things that man puts together. A lot of people think the space shuttle's complex, but I think a nuclear submarine is extremely complex.
The Astute is an engineering marvel. It's designed to operate in the harshest environments. And it's able to dive more than 300 meters on a moment's notice. And its home base is the massive Devonshire Dock Hall.
It is, I believe, the largest facility of its kind in Europe. The hall itself is around 260 metres long, about 60 metres wide and 50 metres high. It's that size that allows us to build around about four and a half of this size submarine at once within the facility.
But it's not just the size that separates the Astute from other subs. It's the revolutionary way it is put together. This is the first UK sub built entirely by computer-assisted design, allowing for more accurate and detailed assembly. The Astute was constructed in several separate modules before joining up with the hull, eliminating a lot of the risks along the way.
The real difficulty with submarines is the confined space, and that means that people who are working 8 hours, 10 hours a day find it very uncomfortable. So we've looked at it from a human point of view.
Traditionally, subs were built from the inside out. Now they're completing close to 90% of the construction before shipping in the modules and closing the hull. They're literally turning sub building on its side, placing 7 of the 8 units vertical to start the process.
At the moment, as you can see, because we're vertical, this deck head that would normally be overhead has actually become as a vertical wall. Therefore, the opportunity to install the pipework to pick up the sockets is far easier.
The command deck module houses the combat system equipment. And there's another first. The Astute will go to sea without traditional periscopes.
The people which were viewing the outside world would have to raise the scope. It would fill this complete area that we're in. We can now free this area up and make it much easier for the operators to actually go through their task.
The periscopes have been replaced by a digital camera system in the fin of the submarine.
They're telescopic. On top of each mast we have a sensor pod, and in each of those sensor pods we have a high-definition colour TV camera. We can do snapshots, we can record the imagery, we can zoom into various magnifications, and we can take advantage of all that, the modern-day camera technology that we have.
The Astute contains a mind-boggling amount of material. 23,000 pipes, 250,000 meters of cable, and 90,000 individual parts. No wonder it takes 7 years to build from start to finish. And it delivers twice the firepower of previous attack submarines.
This is where we keep all the weapons that we carry on board the submarine. Those are the Tomahawk land attack missiles. And also the heavyweight spearfish torpedoes, which are used to attack other submarines or surface contacts.
The real key to this submarine is its stealth. The Astute hardly gives off any noise.
And at the end of the day, the amount of energy that we radiate into the water is less than the energy you'd get out of a very simple flashlight.
Thanks to heavily insulated machinery inside and state-of-the-art dampening tiles on the outside. Its sophisticated sonar system can identify objects up to 240 kilometers away.
We can not only hear the contact, but we can also tell you how many blades it's got, what speed it's doing, and we can probably tell you, if we're closer, what channels they're listening to on the television.
The Astute also provides better living quarters for the submariners. Gone are the days of hot bunking.
Where you share your bunk with another person, and you have 12 hours on, 12 hours off in terms of getting onto the bunk. Every qualified man will have their own bunk, which is a considerable step forward.
Now, if there's one thing that sets a submarine apart from other water-based military machines, it's the super thin margin for error.
You can put a hole in an aircraft carrier about 50 meters long and about 20 meters deep, and the aircraft carrier will still survive.
A very small hole in a submarine at depth will result in an uncontrollable flood, and the submarine would be lost.
That means welding is paramount. And that takes place at this mammoth fabrication facility. Everything from automatic laser-guided welding to semi-automatic welding with a wire. There's also plenty of the good old-fashioned variety.
The welding on a submarine is obviously critical. Every weld that we do on a submarine, it's obviously got to be almost pure. So the welding by our guys is second to none.
And their numbers prove it, with a defect rate of less than 1%. Welds are checked by ultrasound, and problem areas are marked, fixed, and x-rayed before heading off to the production areas. Submarine welding is especially challenging because it takes place in very confined areas. The solution is a tricky process called mirror welding.
It's mindset. You get used to it. As you're training, your hands come round, and what you're seeing is your hands come round the pipe and you're putting wire in. And when you're doing it with a mirror, everything's opposite.
Airtight and battle-ready, the Astute cuts an imposing figure. But its most important work will be done far below the surface for many years to come.